move on because I was reading before you and the team at Motivate have penned a really interesting white paper on the importance of employee engagement, and I implore anyone who's watching this to download a copy of that white paper because it's incredibly well.
It's a good read. It's a good read. Yeah.
If you do say so yourself, Bill. But I think one of the really interesting things about that is you, rather than just talk about it as a employee as a whole, you talk about different stages, and you've sort of created this concept of the employee journey, all the way from hiring someone, interviewing someone, to people exiting. So what I find really interesting is the approach that you guys take. It's not just a case of, right, I said, I asked you, what's the single most important thing? There isn't a single most important thing, is there?
No,
it really is an end-to-end process. I mean, I know this is this in journey is something you were quite, helped sort of create, if you will. So, what, just to tell us a little bit more about that employee journey?
Yeah. Again, it was trying to take something that's quite complex and break it into something that's tangible for people to try and get their head around and understand. And it's not a process, because it's not end to end. It doesn't start and it finishes. All the different elements of this are kind of continually going on and happening. Mm-hmm. And again, for me, my look at it is, what do you want people to think and feel at kind of each stage of that kind of their time within the organisation, yeah. And if you think, if you go right to the start, before they even become an employee, if they're a potential candidate, yeah, what do you want them to think and feel? Well, you want to create a feeling that says, I think I want to work there, yeah, because that looks like a really cool place to work, and I like the things they're trying to do, and I like why they're trying to do what they're doing. And so that might encourage people to want to maybe apply for a role, yeah. And again, so then what happens, they enter into a recruitment activity, yeah, and they start to kind of interact with people, either face-to-face or online or whatever. And what that does, it's reinforcing some of that kind of earlier thought that they had. Well, it should be, because what you want them to think at that stage is that, I know I want to work there, yeah, because the kind of feeling that we had at the beginning when they were going through the sort of whole applying for a role there, this has been reinforced through the interactions. And then if they're offered a role and they go into the kind of onboarding kind of phase, and the onboarding can start at offer stage or it can start on day one. It depends on the organisation and how it is. I personally believe it starts right before somebody joins. And what you want to do is, again, you want them to think it's exactly what I expected it to be. Yeah, mm-hmm. No surprises. Yeah, so there's a momentum that's building all the way through this activity. Yeah, and so they join, and they're in the organisation, and what are they thinking? So how do we get up to speed quickly? So the organisation, the manager themselves, they're creating, developing the skills, the knowledge, the tools and the support to do their job. Yeah, so they feel confident that they can do what they're being asked to do in their role, yeah, which is what they're being hired for. Yeah, and that's really, really key as well. How do you motivate them, which is another sort of phase of what we talk about with the journey. So again, and that's really helping them understand how the role contributes to the success of the organisation. And it comes back to some of the things we were talking about earlier. Yeah? All of this together, it helps them feel they're part of the organisation. They're an integral part of the organisation, and it creates that sense of belonging. So they feel they've made the right decision, yeah, because it feels the right place to be. Mm-hmm. They get the chance to develop. They get the chance to learn. They get the chance to grow. Yeah, that's another important element in there. And then I think if they feel valued and recognised for their contribution, yeah, they're more likely to stay, like we said right at the beginning. Yeah, retention is a key challenge in some industries. But again, that feeling valued and being recognised for what you do is a game changer, I think. Yeah. Now, the last bit is that in the majority of cases, for a whole range of reasons, people will leave, yeah, and go somewhere else. it might be something that's quite kind of, it might be something that they're not happy with internally, or somebody's come along and offered them a great role in a different environment, a different location. It could be they've offered them twice the salary. It could be a whole range of things that encourages somebody to leave. And it's not necessarily a reflection on the organisation itself. It's just that there's a great opportunity presented itself. And timing's a lot to do with that. But what you want to do is, I mean, we keep hearing about employees who go back to places where they worked before in the past. Yeah, the boomerang employee. Yeah, so you want people to leave not under a cloud, but with a great impression, because they're great advocates for you when they go back into the workplace again. In their new environment. Yeah, they'll still talk positively about it if they've had a great experience. Yeah. And that's absolutely and that's what we try to do with the employee journey. Just put it together on one page that made it quite kind of understandable. Yeah. And again, the feedback we've had for that's been really positive. People seem to get it and think it kind of portrays that pretty well. So that's a positive for our perspective.
No, absolutely. And I will, in this video, I will post a link for people to download the white paper. And hopefully I'll see if I can flash up that employee journey image. I think it's a really clear image that I've seen you and the team present multiple times now.